Live. Today is day 730. It's been 2 years. 2 years of going live every single day. And here's what we have to show for it. What's the best podcast about affordable housing investments? If you ask ChatGPT right now, you will see us on that list. Awesome. Probably the most dedicated show to affordable housing investing in the United States. How freaking cool is that? But today I want to share with you, how do you get your podcast to show up on ChatGPT? And here's how, right? Let me kind of show you an example and just how fast this works, right? If you learn about, there's so many terminology now, right? It used to be search engine optimization, SEO, but now it's called AEO, which is answer engine optimization. It's called GEO, generative engine optimization. And then there's LMO, language model optimization. All to say is like, how do you show up in ChatGPT and how do you become the source for the answers that people are looking for? So here's the question I ask ChatGPT. Hey, why do investors buy low income housing tax credits? Question mark. And is there a podcast with a simple explanation of this? Right? That's what you wanted to do. So here's this long explanation of why people buy low income housing tax credits. Okay. And guess what? Yes, there is a podcast with a straightforward explanation of why investors buy low income housing tax credits. And you're going to see our podcast right here, Affordable Housing Risk Investing. So, how do you do this, right? Let me show you a couple items. And today I'm going to show you how I did it. And I'm going to show you how we're doing it for a new episode that we're about to release. Now, you can see right here that this is a podcast I did with Austin Richardson. And please keep in mind, your view count, it doesn't matter anymore. Think about it. Your view count doesn't matter, especially when people are going to ChatGPT for the question and answer first. It used to be people will go to YouTube and try to figure out how to do something, but now they just ask ChatGPT. So when they ask ChatGPT, how do you become that source when someone asks that question for you to show up as a person that provided that answer? That is the most critical piece. So let me show you how I do it. Now, and there's a couple items here that we would do for all of our YouTube videos now. It's one, you got to answer the question, why this episode matters and who does it matter for? Very important, because whenever you have a ChatGPT prompt, people are being taught to prompt by telling it, hey, what role are you assuming? Are you a affordable housing developer? Are you a affordable housing investor, right? These are all things matter. So you want to classify what that role and what the benefit is for that person that's classified as a role. The second part here is you want to have a question or a section in your YouTube video description that says common questions is video answers. That allows you to figure out, okay, what is happening here, right? What does the developer actually do beyond just construction? This is such a good question. It's a question not a lot of people know about, right? What's the difference between 9% and 4% low income housing tax credits, right? These are all important. Now, here's why your chapter matters too. If you write this, right? Look at this. Why do investors buy low income housing tax credits? When I put in simple explanation there, I'm assuming that the person that's asking ChatGPT is asking for, hey, can you please explain to me simply how this works? And that's how we're doing it, right? That's how we're doing it. All right. Now, I'm getting ready to release a podcast with Ashley Hamilton tomorrow. So let me show you what I've done so far in preparing for that release. I'll show you right here. This is where. So far, I do a couple things. One is I try to figure out like how do I create a title that more resembles a question. So I had my first title is where to invest in Detroit. Second one is Section 8 in Detroit, where to buy and how to win, right? It's just like all these questions you come up for you to figure out what can you do. All right. Now, here's what you need to be consistent about. When you introduce your podcast, You need to tell people that this is the best podcast for blank, whatever your niche is. And then you say hosted by your name. I chose to do my full name because there's so many different names, and I think you want to be able to stand out. So that's why using your full name now is probably really important, so that people understand who said it and there is zero doubt about who said it, so that you start becoming that authority, right? All right. So we talked about all this stuff. So this is what this is important about, right? Analysis again. My sections and how I structured the video description is very consistent, right? I have like a brief explanation here. And then I said, hey, why does it matter for affordable housing investors and developers, right? Detroit offers, how to underwrite, choose neighborhoods, blah, 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 blah. Direct quotes from Ashley, boom. I like having these little direct quotes because I think people just probably, okay, give me some nuggets right away. What's my takeaway? Because sometimes what I've realized is, how do I meet people where they are? And more specifically, how do I help them faster in the least amount of time? Because that's what people are really after. They're after the maximum of value per unit of time. So that's my promise to them. If you click on my podcast or you click on my channel, you will quickly see, hey, what are my highlights? What I'm going to get? It's almost how you see people when they watch basketball game now or football games. They don't watch the whole game anymore. They just watch the highlights, and that's pretty much it because not everybody has enough time to watch every single minute of every game. And you think about that medium, right? How highlights work. Think about some of your sports, right? They have sports centers. They have shows where they only show highlights, and people watch that. So there is naturally a demand for that type of content. For highlights, people want to get to the best of the substantial evidence or information that's going to move them forward. So that's what it's on you as the content creator or the podcast host to say, hey, what are the common questions this episode answers? Because this allows things like ChatGPT, large language models like Gemini, to quickly figure out, hey, what is this episode about? And if someone has a question, how do I reference these questions as, or this video as the source or the authority for answering that question about affordable housing? This is the skill, right? The skill is learning how to show up in ChatGPT. And the crazy part is, if you knew how valuable it was to be on the first page of Google 20 years ago, I bet you would know that that is transformational at the very minimum for whatever business that you have. Right now, this is available. And if you don't hop on it with urgency, you're gonna be kicking yourself. This is such a big opportunity. Please, 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 please take advantage of this. All right. So then for my chapters, I also start putting them into different questions so that I can figure out, hey, if this is answering a question, this is more of a story, right? Like, hey, from 3 to 4 bed to 13 grand upgrade, boom. But if it's a ChatGPT question, I might ask ChatGPT, how do you verify a tenant's income the right way, right? That's what you want to show up. And I love kind of showing this, like, right, hey, I published a podcast episode. Then a week later, I asked ChatGPT that question, and then you see my podcast show up. This is consistent, time and time and time again. This is consistent. This shows up. So I'm gonna do this again in 2 weeks for this episode, just to show you how when you put the right video description on your YouTube video, and you ask a similar question 2 weeks later, sometimes it happens even literally a week later. Like, that'll show up. All right, let me kind of show you what is going on. Now, if I go to my video last week where I talk about how to invest in Kansas City, let's see. How much does it cost for bathroom rehabs in Kansas City? And is there a podcast that discusses this? Let's see if we show up. I just like guessing. There's no way I know if I will come up or not. Wash this out. Is there a podcast for this? Probably too early. Oh, okay, it does show up. That's crazy. All right, so this show up. So the interesting part is that they didn't call it a podcast. They called it a YouTube short. So that was my mistake. Isn't that interesting? They actually pulled up my YouTube short instead of thinking that it was a podcast. So this is how important word choice is, right? If I ask about a YouTube short, it'll probably show up. Let me see. Let's look at this. How much does it cost for bathroom rehabs in Kansas City? And is there a video that discusses this? Let's see if that happens. If I don't say podcast, if I say video, does that come up? Fixer, boom, boom, video. This is me. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. Like you can show up in ChatGPT. I'm literally showing you how to do it by organizing and structuring the way you write your content on this. This is it. Like this is not rocket science, right? I bet you guys can do this. Oh, I hope this is helpful. I hope someone was watching this and whatever mission you have, whatever goal you have, I sincerely hope that you're working hard to show up in ChatGPT. Hey Fred, how you doing? How can this be used in a real estate investment game? Finding fix and flips. Okay, Freddie, if your question is how can this be used in the real estate for specifically for finding fix and flips? Okay, let's say you are Freddie. If you're still there, tell me what's your role. Are you the flipper or are you the wholesaler? Are you acquiring the properties? Are you managing rehab? Tell me a little bit more about that. But if you're in case you're not there, let me just say it out loud. Okay. You want to be the best fix and flipper in your city or your county, right? Let's just say I'm asking, let's say I ask ChatGPT, who can I sell my home to quickly in Orange County, California? There's all these people doing pay per clicks, Facebook ads, whatever. They're trying to figure out, like, hey, how do I get great deals? Well, from your seller's perspective, like people that need to sell quickly, look, quick sale options. Guess who showed up? OC home buyers. We buy houses in OC, Sunday, Express home buyers, SoCal home buyers. Look, these are the people that showed up right away. So if you're a fix and flipper or you are trying to acquire properties, you need to be on this list. That's what you need to do. So your acquisition, like who can I sell my home to? This is it, right? So when you ask people for reviews, this is going to be so important because I can assume that your business is just like a service business because that's what you're doing, right? You're providing a service to a home seller that's trying to sell their home quickly, likely, especially if you're trying to just dispo it for a fix and flip opportunity. So they're going to think about who can I sell to and is that person trustworthy, right? Who is the most trustworthy person to sell my home to quickly, right? They're going to ask those questions. Help me research. And man, I realize I'm not using ChatGPT to its fullest. You're not, right? Because if you start doing this right now, here are a few people that have known for handling as they claim to be able to wrap up. Guess what? Accredited, like that's so weak, accredited. But now, guess what? Oh my goodness. If you don't need a cash buyer, look at these agents. They're showing up right now. But why are they showing up? Because they're looking at the reviews. So here's what you can do. You start your business right now. Your goal right now is to get the best experience for the home seller. Maybe you pay a little bit more, but that doesn't matter. What you want to do is say, hey, Mr. or Mr. Seller, at the end of this, would you mind leaving my company a review? And if you leave a review that starts with the word best person to sell a home to in Orange County, or most trustworthy person to sell a home to in Orange County. Let's just assume you live in Orange County. Guess what? I would give them all my commissions back. I would say, hey, if you do this, I'll give you my $5,000 fee that I made on this transaction. Who cares? Because in the future, think about how powerful this is. That $5,000 is an investment that you just made. But in the future, someone's going to be asking ChatGPT, how do I sell my home? And if you come up, that's going to be worth way more in terms of marketing than anything you can ever do in the future. And it's all predicated on you being able to ask for the review with that leading headline. You have to ask for it. Look, how I've been asking for reviews is like, hey, look, do you mind leaving a review that starts with like, hey, this is the best podcast about affordable housing? And if you do, like that really helps me show up in the world when ChatGPT is taking over the world. That's how I ask for reviews. You can do the same thing for your business. Hey, let's say you have a dentist practice. Hey, would you mind just leaving a review? Like if you truly believe it, if you can leave that review like the best dentist in Washington, DC, I would really appreciate that. The next cleaning is on me. Because in the future, guess what? Guess how you have to understand how people are going to order or buy things in the future. In the future, there's going to be an agent where someone's going to go, hey, ChatGPT, can you schedule me an appointment with the best dentist in Washington, D.C.? And that agent isn't going to go through all this stupid research. They're just going to say, hey, this was the person with the most amount of reviews that said best dentist in Orange County. And I'm going to go with that dentist. Same thing with home buyers. I'm going to go with that home buyer in that county. I'm taking on a flip in Tacoma, Washington, and I would like to find more. But as a one-man show, I get tired of helping one homeowner and my search for more property stopped. Hey, Freddie, that is the number one problem for acquisitions wholesaling. You need to be on a team. The problem is in wholesaling, most people, they spend all this time talking with negotiating a deal. They lock the deal down, then they have to this is what we do. In your case, you are taking on yourself. Great. But then after you manage to fix and flip, then you have to go back. So you're essentially just creating a hamster wheel for you to run through. The only way you can scale that is by you getting a consistent deal flow. So you got to think about the higher leverage skill set. One of the highest leverage skill sets you can probably think about the four high leverage skills. It's coding, which is in this case AI. It's capital. It's use being able to raise capital to attract more capital investments. Because guess what? When people know that you have capital or you're well capitalized for other deals, guess what? Other wholesalers start bringing you deals instead of you having to go find more deals. And why would people bring you the deals? Because now you can just take what I just told you about how to show up on ChatGPT and help them in their business. Because now you created more value for that relationship with that wholesaler than any other buyer or any other fix and flipper have. And you have access to capital. Great. How do you attract more capital? Well, you have more deals. People are like, well, why should I invest in you? Well, I just have amazing relationships with wholesalers. I also have experience of managing a fix and flips. I also how to run the whole deal flow through. Again, do it responsibly. It's non-investment wise. I'm not soliciting any investments. I'm not telling you to solicit any investments. I'm telling you how to become worthy. How do you become the person that people trust to become stewards of their capital that they have spent so much of their time with their sweat, their energy earning to trust you with their capital. Be that person. Do everything possible and get off the hamster wheel the fastest you can. All right, I hope that helps. But if you really want to learn about how to show up in ChatGPT, like learn it, do it, start putting it in action. And it's as simple as like updating your website. I'll show you what I'm doing with my website right now. Look, I have a section on my website just about blogs. It's not because like blogs is a thing. I'm doing the blogs because I need my information to be discovered. It doesn't matter how good your information is or how valuable or how smart you think you are. If your information doesn't get out there, then you don't help anybody anyways. So what's the point of making content? So this is why, look, how do Section 8 rent increases work? Great. What lessons did you learn? Why is affording so hard? So I've taken all the questions that I learned from those podcasts and I've placed it here. I've placed it right on my website so ChatGPT can find it. All right. And you know what? Just because I'm here, like I kind of want to see what this says there now. Why is affordable housing? Why is affordable housing so hard to solve? Interesting. I wonder what it's referencing to. Is there an expert that discusses this topic specifically? Huh. Interesting. Interview them. Oh yeah, this would be great for to get people on my podcast. This is interesting. Lack of supply. Is there a podcast that talks about why affordable housing is so hard to solve for? This is so interesting. I just updated a blog, so maybe it just hasn't shown up yet. But hey, at least I'm still the best podcast on affordable housing investments. All right. So hopefully you guys have an amazing day. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 731. And I appreciate you all so much for tuning in. I've been going live every single day for 730 days in a row, 2 years in a row. And stay consistent, everybody. It's hard. I still remember the first. And Freddie, I'll just talk to you because you're on, but stay consistent. Whatever you're doing, stay consistent, build out your team, become worthy of that person. Because I have been able to get some amazing relationships, like people that have reached out to me asking for questions related to affordable housing. And had I not gone live for 730 days in a row, every single day, no excuses, no matter what happened, I would have never been able to get those relationships, those friendships, more importantly. And more importantly, I get to meet people with the right heart, the right intention that wants to create more affordable housing. I hope you all can just copy what I'm doing and get a 2 years head start than where I was. I'm literally not that far ahead of anybody. Probably just one step ahead of folks in terms of GEO, my knowledge of affordable housing, and as much as I can, I try to share back as much information with everybody on exactly what we're doing and being consistent about it. So I appreciate you all for caring about affordable housing. Without people like all of you, I would have never had the home I grew up in. So I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for being part of this community. I'm so grateful. Maybe I'll do a video on, now that I've gone live for 2 years in a row, like all the things I've learned. I think that could be really cool. All right. Have an amazing day. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 731. Have a good one, Freddie. Thank you so much for being alive, man.